My name is Heidi Hausse, and I'm an associate professor of early modern European history at Auburn University. My book, The Malleable Body, Surgeons, Artisans, and Amputees in Early Modern Germany, takes readers into the world of surgical operations and artisans' workshops and the material culture of amputees. It argues that surgical and artisanal intervention in the shapes and textures of arms and legs over 200 years gradually but significantly transformed the way that early modern Europeans took apart the body surgically and put it back together artificially. Now, amputation was an extreme measure in early modern surgery. It was treated with great caution throughout the entire period. Still, the rise and spread of gunpowder warfare created new kinds of injuries on the Renaissance battlefield that led surgeons to start performing amputations more frequently than their predecessors. They began developing multiple techniques that their predecessors had never discussed, and they started passionately debating those techniques in a way their predecessors never had. At the same time, amputees from the upper classes began to commission complex mechanical hands made of iron from artisans of different craft groups. This new kind of prosthetic technology showed amputees drawing on fashionable trends and elite culture that prized clever mechanical objects that blurred the boundaries between art and nature. So these developments are pointing us to how hands-on practices and ideas about those practices gradually over time created a growing perception of the human body as malleable, as something that could be altered. This was a shift in expectations among surgeons and patients and artisans and their amputee patrons in the number and degree of interventions possible in the human body. So the book explores this shift from the first signs of putrefaction in a living limb to the polishing of a mechanical one. It looks at the decision to amputate and the communal component to surgery involved in that. It looks at surgeons' ideas about the body that were embedded in their very instructions on how to perform an amputation, showing that surgical techniques reveal competing visions of what the body was and of what it meant to work with bodily materials. It looks at the formation of surgeons' ideas about the body in post-operative convalescence, particularly in their encounters with phantom limbs. But amputees' perspectives are just as important here. And the book uses artifacts of mechanical hands to explore those perspectives. It uncovers the material practices that amputees sponsor to create these objects and how they use them to shape the perceptions of others and exert agency in the reshaping of a limb. And their practices influenced surgeons and surgeons' ideas about the body and artificial body parts. What makes this story so powerful are the different groups involved. Surgeons, artisans, and amputees are all figures that have not received much attention from early modern scholars studying the history of medicine and the body. This study sheds much needed light on the rich mental worlds of craft surgeons, something that's received only a fraction of the attention that we historians have traditionally lavished upon learned physicians and anatomists. This story recognizes the role of artisans, of locksmiths and clockmakers in the development of a new prosthetic technology. And this much needed recognition broadens our understanding of body work and of body care in another time and place where we have historical actors that we often don't consider as being involved in medicine, clearly doing work of a medical kind. And why were these locksmiths and clockmakers, these armorers and blacksmiths, these woodworkers and leather workers involved in making mechanical hands at all? Amputees. Understanding the role of amputee patrons in the development of a new prosthetic technology in early modern Europe reframes narratives of agency and power in the history of medicine. It makes a case for the importance of historians of medicine to draw on disability studies fruitfully, that bringing the priorities of these two fields together can help expand our understanding of early modern Europeans' ways of conceiving of, treating, managing, and exploring the human body. At the broadest level, this story helps us make more sense of those early stirrings of positive assumptions so fundamental to modern biomedicine about manipulating the body as a good thing, as a positive thing. Embodied practices and a form of knowledge banking that intersected with intense sensory and emotional experience in the 16th and 17th centuries opened up new discussions and new medical perceptions about intervening in the human body. And it was the multiplicity of ideas and practices that formed that was really key here. And recognizing the many different groups of historical actors involved in generating that multiplicity emphasizes the cultural, the communal, the many different forms of participants that are involved in body care and shaping ideas about the body.